That's Daddy's drill. We're taking the kitchen apart. Want to go see what we're doing in the kitchen to take the kitchen apart with the drill? Yeah. Let's go. We're gonna go take the kitchen apart with the drill. All right, we're taking the kitchen apart here. We realized that in order to sell this house, we've got to strip this kitchen out. We did put brand new mahogany floors in when we moved in, but it's gonna be more than the floors that sell this house. I'm glad I never finished things up. Julie would disagree, but this is all going bye-bye. I did build this custom butcher block countertop out of maple and cherry. I mean, that's going, and we're going to refabricate everything we need for a brand new kitchen. Alright, the kitchen's starting to really come apart now. Taking it apart's the easy part. Putting it back together, well, we'll see how that goes. That should be just fine. Right, Julie?
Right.
How long do you think it's going to take to get the kitchen put back together?
What's today's date?
Today is the 9th of February 2015.
I would think by February 9th of 2016. That's exactly when I think he'll be finished.
Alright, things are coming apart. Cabinets are coming down. This foolish archway is coming out. That's all coming down. Eventually this is all going to come out after we finish this phase here. This little space here is basically useless. And we're going to reclaim it by pulling out this wall for the most part. There's a bunch of power in this wall and there's some heating on the floor. So we're going to rip that out and reroute everything and see if we can make some good use out of this space. Well, what started off as just a kitchen cabinet, kitchen facelift, turned into a full demo remodel project. I figured, you know, in order to make this right, we need to take out everything that's unappealing in this kitchen and make it right, make it nice. For example, these walls have been skim coated with joint compound and it's just really unsightly, very ugly. I don't know if you remember seeing the ceiling at all, but there was sheetrock and then there's some sort of a, it looks like thin set is what it looks like, almost like a plaster or a cement that was coated over the sheetrock to give it kind of a cementy, plastery, stucco-y look. And that was really roughshod and it was not very nice looking at all. So I figured now's the time to do it. If we're going to do it right, let's do it right. This room is nice and open. It looks really nice in here. There's a lot of sunlight coming in. It's amazing what a single wall will do when removed. It just opens up the room. It avails you of all of the square footage. And looking forward to making this a really nice kitchen. And we're going to get some footage of this project every step of the way. Our goal for the rest of the day is to get all of the sheetrock off the walls, strip it down to bare poles, clean this place up. You know, one thing I've learned after doing as many remodels as I've done and full complete tear outs is that working in a clean environment is an absolute must. When I first started doing these things, I would just work in complete filth and pigsties and piles of debris like this. But the reality is it makes you totally inefficient. It's not good for the morale because you can't really see the progress as well as you can when you're cleaned up nicely. So at the end of every workday, we like to make sure this place is tip-top, even though there's not going to be anything to look at but rough 2x8s. And before long, this thing's going to be all done. We'll be hanging the new cabinets, and it's going to be beautiful. We've gotten everything stripped down to the bare poles, down to the studs, and this is the outside wall here that's got some really god-awful insulation. It looks like it was batted with fiberglass insulation at some point later in the years. Was blown in with some foam, which is badly deteriorated, and Rob is currently de-insulating the entire wall. And Rob is actually an insulation specialist, and he said that there's little to no insulation value whatsoever. So it's better that while this thing's opened up, we re-insulate it and make it make it as tight as possible. But thought I'd share with you some of the cool things we found here. This was the outside wall of the main house before the L was added, and you can see the timber framing work here. This post here is just massive. It's just about a foot, and you got these knee braces here, and they're X'd out, and this is what provided the torsion control, because now we use plywood, but back in the days when this house was built, there was no plywood. It was barn boards laid over the this timber framing. The way that they ensured that there wasn't any twisting and torsion was with these knee braces. And this is just unbelievable craftsmanship. You can see here all of the joinery is marked with individual markings. They're numbered according to where each piece fits. And it's just to think that this was all done by hand with a mallet and a chisel. And all these beams were hewn by hand with an axe and an adze, and it probably took all of a full day of some really stout fellow to turn a tree into a usable timber like this. Excuse me, it is dusty in here, man. Another thing that I wanted to show you real quickly is this timber here that's running perpendicular to these rafters here, or these joists I should say. This is for show. This is not even load bearing whatsoever. We had a bit of a gut feeling that that was the case, but we later determined that that was in fact the situation. This beam was installed purely for aesthetic value, and you can see that it was fastened kind of haphazardly with these L brackets, and there's a very, very long lag bolt. See if I can zoom in on that. It goes up through here. And that's not how I would have done it, that's for sure. But there were a lot of aesthetic beams installed throughout this kitchen. This L here is much newer than the main house. It's probably 50 years newer than the main house. And so a lot of framing technology had evolved since 1780 when this house was built. But it's my guess that it was 1979 when this aesthetic beam was installed. Now, there were other structures on this property. Excuse me. As I mentioned in prior videos, this house was on a much bigger property than it is right now. They literally built a city around this house. This was a very wealthy landowner. He owned 1,000 or so acres in the area. He owned as far as you could see. And he granted a lot of land, actually granted land to the hospital, which is probably 5 or 6/10 of a mile away from here. Let me turn the camera around so I can talk to you guys for a few minutes. So anyhow, there were other structures on the property, and at some point these structures were dismantled. I know in 1994 there was quite a large barn that was dismantled, and it was trucked off to another site somewhere in an adjoining town, neighboring town, and so a fellow had purchased it. So my guess is that these beams here, see if I can get it in, were taken from another structure on the property and repurposed, I guess. Now, we'll go into the front hallway here. Sorry, Rob. Kind of walking backwards so you can see me and see what's going on. This front hallway here, we've kept some of these beams just for, just to have them. Probably use them somewhere else. These are very, very old, and you can see some of the, this old hand-cut nail here, and these nails are all over the place. These were installed just for aesthetics as well. And when we removed them, we found, whatever modifications were made over the years underneath. including all this old, badly deteriorated insulation. So, what's my point? I know I was making a point, I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, so aesthetic beams. We took this one right here down. It was up here somewhere. We took it down, cut it to length, and installed it vertically right here. It actually is carrying a load. The only load it's carrying is this beam here, which is so poorly supported over here by those brackets. But I want to keep that in place. It looks kind of cool, and I think it'll look nice with a nice, clean, flat, white painted ceiling with recessed lighting. Excuse me, my goodness. I should be wearing a mask. It'd be really cool to have that be a feature of this kitchen. What else is there? An issue we're going to have, and I've faced and been confronted with this issue on other remodels in the past, is when you install hardwood flooring up against other features that are in the house. Like in this case, we floored... it's hard holding this camera backwards here. Yeah, we floored up to what used to be this wall right here. We removed the wall. Well, now we have a void where there's no floor, and I mean, I have some hardwood left over from the project, but now we have to go through and deal with these voids, and unfortunately everything is lined up, cut flush, or was flush cut up against the wall, and so we have a straight line. The most pronounced issue, turn the camera around again, pronounced issue is here. We have this whole line, it's all straight. I'm going to do a separate video on how to deal with this. Nobody wants to see a straight seam here with filler boards butted flush up against these. That's not nice to look at. It's very unsightly. So what we have to do is we need to manually go through every other board and bring it back so we can create a stagger. The problem is all of this is tongue and groove, and so it's all interlocked together, and we used a floor stapler to staple it down. So not only is it interlocked together, but it's fastened to the floor, and so it's no fun whatsoever to do this. I mean, I imagine this is going to take maybe half a day or longer just to do just this portion right here, to make it look perfect. I mean, obviously the objective is to make it look like it's part of the floor and not some after the fact, after the fact patchwork installation. So really that's about it for now. What else can I show you really quick? I can show you this here is kind of like the island, I guess you might call it. This post is coming out, and this entire island is going to come out. And I made all this butcher block countertop out of maple that was harvested locally, and I'm going to do a separate video on how to basically turn a tree into a butcher block countertop, so you can see that whole process. And I intend on putting butcher block all throughout this kitchen. It's going to look awesome. I mean, I like granite. Granite's very cool. A lot of people like granite. Oh, phone's ringing. Hang on, let me silence that. A lot of people like granite, but in a house like this, of this vintage, I think it makes much more sense to use a natural material that would have been more commonly found in the era. And butcher block's coming back, I guess. I haven't followed the fashion trends and the styles, but from what I've seen, butcher block's really coming back, and it just makes sense. It adds a nice bright feel to the room, and it's durable, and it's wood. I mean, gosh, this house has been here 230 years. I guess no reason to believe that the butcher block couldn't last that long. Well, anyways, now I'm starting to ramble. I'm running out of things to talk about. but I certainly don't have any shortage of work to do. So I think I should probably put the camera down and help Rob de-insulate this place, and we'll be back with some more updates when I have some. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, we'd love to have you hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified when new videos come out. And as always, have a great day. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks a lot.